Good afternoon, cameraman Dave here. How's everyone doing? It's just another Q&A with cameraman Dave on the Astley and Butcher United channel. So this afternoon, it's more of a pre-Christmas one, I suppose. I thought I'd just give it another go. I've actually got some pre-questions people have submitted already. So once I've gone through a few bits and pieces, I will delve into these questions. So, like I say, it'll be good if we can have a few people who join us can add the questions in the comments. Anything related to Aston Butcher United, anything to do with non-league football. It'd be really good to get people's questions, opinions on certain topics. Obviously, the things I'm going to discuss this afternoon, you might agree with, disagree with. Let's say, put your comments in the chat, and we'll see how we go. So, just as a bit of a recap, obviously this is the 14th of December. We're coming towards the end of the year, and most couple of our teams won't be playing again after this weekend. So, without further ado, we'll do this in reverse order. So, just taking into fact the Aston Butcher Sunday team. They were playing the last game this morning. I'm not quite sure how that game's gone, but as things stand at the moment, as of this morning, they were third in the Division 1 of the Sunday League, sitting on 22 points, and 3 points behind the leaders, who are AFC Preston, but they are 4 games in hand on AFC Preston. Obviously, the last couple of weeks have been absolutely atrocious weather, so games have not been played. I know they've played 1 or 2 games in the cup, and I know they suffered a defeat last week. But hopefully, like I say, I've not got a result from today. If they played, I mean, weather's been naff again. Hopefully, they would have got a positive result. Bearing that in mind, if they haven't played, like I say, sitting third in the table, going into the new year with 4 games in hand, they're in a very, very strong place. Like I say, I've watched them a few times this season, from pre-season until now, and they have got better and better and better. So yeah, everything's looking good for them at this moment in time. So moving on, the reserves. They've not played a game in several weeks now. Down to the weather again, unfortunately. So yeah, so at the moment in time, they're sitting 4th in Division 2 with the West Lancs reserves. They're on 18 points, 5 points behind the leaders, Thornton. But like I say, what I've seen of these guys this year, they've done really, really well. They came into this league, they didn't brand new team, didn't know much about what was going to happen, teams they're going to face and stuff. But they've came into this and they've held their own. The last game I think they played was against Hurst Green at home, which I recorded. Only lost 3-2. If it wasn't for a goal in the last minute by Hurst Green, a point, they more than matched Hurst Green. And Phil and Jamal, the managers of that team, have done a fantastic job. Like I say, I interviewed them back in July, and they were looking forward to this league. And they've put their own spin on this team, their own formation, and they've hit this league, and they're doing really, really well. And in a fantastic position. All right, they may have played a few games extra, but going into the the second half of the season, they should look into that looking very confident. So finally, the first teamers, absolutely on a rotten run of results at the moment. I think they've lost 4 or 5. But yesterday, was an ideal opportunity to get some points on the board. Pitch had been passed Friday night. I get to the ground at 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon to film the game, and the car park is virtually empty. I didn't get the memo that the game was off. Apparently, there was an issue with the transportation for Whitehaven, so the game got called off. But saying that, they did have a friendly with the reserves, played for about an hour. So overall, wasn't too bad. They managed to get a game. Um, First teamers do actually have one more game left, which is next Sunday next Saturday away to Bolton. So yeah, they just kind of need to get some points on the board. They've done really well coming into this league. We had a great start. We were in the top half for first couple of months, and then I suddenly hit a few injuries, and let's say we've just I think we've lost 4 or 5 on a bounce. The other week we lost to Millthorpe, which was should have got something out of that game really. But anyhow, we're lying 12th in the table at the moment. So, but like I say, the plus side to it is we've got a lot of games in hand to play because obviously a lot of games have been postponed. You know, so we just need to get some points on the board from the new year. And once we've got a few points on the board, get some injury players back from injury, and start climbing that table, I think we'll be all right. But like I say, when you're gone, you've lost 4 or 5. You just want to kind of get back to playing, and these disruptions, the weather, don't help. Because training's okay, but you need competitive games just to get things back on track. So that's kind of a review of where the teams are at, and that's probably where they're going to stay because obviously we're coming into the festive period. So moving on. Just have a quick drink. Just hold on. So just moving on. Obviously this is a Q&A sesh. We've done a couple before. First one went pretty okay. Second one was dire. The audio died. Don't know what happened there. I say this one. I've been given a few questions before, so I'm going to dive straight into them. Obviously, if anybody's watching, drop your questions in the Q&A, and we'll see what's what. So, first question. How does lower level non-league leagues manage the travel issue in the future? The Northwest Counties reaches from just below Cumbria across the Yorkshire border and all the way down to Wolverhampton. Even in the West Lancs, clubs are tasked with a lot of travel. Is more regional leagues the answer? Good question. It's something which I kind of just covered in one of my latest podcasts. Because obviously it's called the West Lancs League. Why is it called the West Lancs League when you've got Cumbrian teams playing in it? Nothing against Cumbrian teams being in it, but should you not rename the league to Lancashire and Cumbria League? Well, to fit everybody into it. We do know that in the past, these teams played in their own leagues in Cumbria, Lancashire. But like I say, as part of that question is, it's the travel. Take yesterday for example, Whitehaven. For them to come down to us, you're talking about on a good run, 2 hours tops without a stop, or 2 hours 30 minutes, whatever. And they've got to do that week in, week out. Obviously, when they're playing away games and stuff. So, how do they afford that travel? Considering travel costs are so expensive at the moment, And petrol's not getting any cheaper. So I know there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of years about the West Lancs. There's been rumours about the league splitting. Will it actually happen? If it did, that would be a cost saving, obviously. But like I say, on the other spin end of it, obviously when we've travelled up to Cumbria, like I said, Millham, Ulverston, we've had some really good trips up there. It's fantastic places, and fantastic grounds. Like Ulverston, one of my favourites. That's a fantastic pitch, you know, um, and great people to talk to, managers, fans. They talk to them all the time, and they tell you some great stories. And there's one or two of them they like the actual match day travel, of going down to Lancashire. They say it's part of the day, they're travelling, they get into the games, have a few beers, and you know, um, enjoy a little bit of banter, and then they're coming home and they're talking about the game, if they won, they lost, whatever. So yeah, it's a difficult question, and I'm not quite sure what the answer is, to be honest with you. Um, but you said it'd be interesting to speak to like Ulverston and Millham and Holker, and just say, how do you manage the travelling costs? Do you use a coach? Do you rely on the players coming down in their own cars? Because like I say, all right, I mean, what, 70, 80, 90 miles doesn't seem a lot, but it's a bit of a long day, and it is a long day as well that you've got to plan out. And like I said, it's like Whitehaven, they've got to do this, quite a few times through the season. Whereas take Astley, ourselves, we might go up to Cumbria Lakes and stuff 2, 3 times a season, But these guys have got to do it week out, week in, week out. I mean, obviously, take Barrow, for example, they have gate receipts, they're in the league, League Two, I think. You take Holker, Old Boys, they're in the Northwest Counties. They take gate receipts, so they've got some income coming in. But how do these other teams in the West Lancs actually manage this fee they've got to pay? Well, not a fee; it's an outgoing. So, so yeah, good question. So, question number two, about park pitches. How do we tackle the lack of decent pitches for adults grassroots? Pitches like Ashton Park in Preston, Haslam Park in Preston, and others have disappeared. Even has Astley Park, that's the one in Chorley. When 30 years ago, loads of decent parks pitches existed. Yes, a very good question. Obviously, we've got there's quite a few teams around here playing on Sunday. Obviously, Astley and Buckshaw have the privilege of having Brookfields, and we've got 3 teams playing on that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these pitches which are left are run by council pitches, and I think the annoying thing is that they are quick. You can see on social media, they are quick to jump on a bandwagon when it's forecast rain, and even on a Thursday night when there's rain is forecast, they'll say, right, all pitches are off this weekend. Well, that's like 3 days before you're playing on the Sunday. So we can't play on them because you're going to ruin the pitches for the rest of the season. Well, you got to play on it at some point. Can you not just use a bit of the common sense factor? I mean, this year has been really, really wet. You're going to be playing back-to-back games. Come April when it's a bit lighter, you could potentially play in games. 3 times a week. You could be playing Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Just for an example. But shouldn't it just be a case that somebody makes a decision on the actual morning or on the Saturday night, just go down and just say, look, what do you reckon? Do you think we can get a game on and stuff? I just think sometimes they're just a little bit rash, just to say, Nah, sorry, rain's coming, knock it off. But going back to the main question, yeah, we do seem to see um, pitches disappearing. And like I say, 3G pitches, they cost an absolute fortune. Charlie Borough Council, Westway, that have got fantastic facility, but to hire that pitch, £120 an hour, it's like, so for a football pitch, which like, sorry, for a football game lasts 90 minutes, you go in your bucket for 2 hours. So what's that? £240. Who on earth is going to pay £240? Even if you split the cost between everybody, it's still a lot of money. Then you're going to pay for a referee. You know, you just you just don't help yourselves. And when you go past in the summer and that the 3G pitch is not being used because everyone's on grass because it's dry, well, just reduce your rates a little bit, and you might get some people on. But I don't know. I mean, that Westway's now been down there, what, 4 or 5 years? You must have paid for it. For everybody who's been on it, it must have been paid for by already. So will you just reduce your rates? If you reduce your rates, then, you might get some more people on it at different times as well. So, yeah, it's a good question, but like I said, I don't honestly know what the answer is. Um, I mean, they're trying to put money into grassroots football, but it's a tough one, really is. And like I say, I suppose you have to look to councils and say, look, stop building houses, give us some football pitches. Like I say, there's things have moved on so much with looking after pitches these days. There's techniques into making pitches better and drainage and stuff like that. So there must be good good set of land somewhere that these pitches can be played on and stuff. I mean, there's so many teams in the northwest playing football on Sundays. Like I say, I go back to we've got so privileged at Astley and Butcher that we've got a pitches which is maintained. But you go down the road half a mile, you got Astley Park, and I go down there on a Sunday morning every morning. There's two pitches on there, but they're just like come now, we're just like bogs. You just can't play in them. But if they were maintained and looked after properly by the council, you might get a few more games on. But anyhow, it's end of the day, it's just money, money, money. There just doesn't seem to be any money in non-league football, um, and it's a shame really because, like I say, end of the day, everybody likes going watching non-league football. It's a massive, massive setup and it's a massive game. So anyhow, I'm just going to take another quick swig of my water and then we'll move on to question 3. Obviously, we've got a few people who are actually on viewing. By all means, please put a question in the chat. If there's anything you want to talk about, please put it in the comments and we'll talk about it. Says me just trying to generate some chat by other people. So, question 3. You started out by filming Harrison, which is my son, and creating footage for Astley and Buckshaw United. A chat with the media guy at Chipping set you on your way for live streaming. Yes, very true. Now, arguably, you are setting the pace for the West Lancs League in the quality of the content you put out there. Did you ever visualize being this big and well known in this part of the world? So, that's our club secretary who's put that question in. Yes. No, I didn't envisage what we're doing as big as we are. The YouTube channel has gone boom in the last 12 months. Like I say, I've probably repeated this several times. And if it weren't for, coming across a guy at Chipping on a hill when we played Chipping a couple of years ago, this concept of me doing this media channel, me sitting here now live, wouldn't have happened. He had this concept of, managing to stream this game And then I started just doing some serious research into doing it. Use many apps, use many different types of media, mobile phones, vi- excuse me, video cameras and stuff. And it just trial and error, just doing your homework, watching YouTube and how do people do that, uploading things, and from a video you get YouTube Shorts that gets you subscribers, and we've hit over 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, I never thought in a month of Sundays I would be sat here in 2025 doing what I do. That's seriously, you know. Um, and it's I've had some input, a lot of input from other people in the club. I'll mention Danny Shaw. He's the first team manager. He's helped me get this YouTube channel up and running. You know, but he's left me to it. I've just done it off my own back, and I've just put some, done some fundraising so we can get some media gear, some mobile phones and stuff. Cameras will be out back at nets. The more angles you have, more people like to watch it. So overall, yeah, it's been an absolute whirlwind. You know, like I said, YouTube channel's coming up for 3 years, I think, in February 2026, and like I say, it's just unbelievable what you can do. And it's still get people coming up to me when the opposition. They said, "Cameraman Dave, always get a thumbs up, always a wave. You right, Dave? How you doing? Thanks for everything you do." You know, I mean, like yesterday, if we'd had a live streaming of the Whitehaven game, we had a couple of people from the management team who were in Australia who were actually going to watch the game. So you think we've got people on the other side of the world who are wanting to tune in to watch the actual live stream. We've had people from Portugal, we've had people from Ireland, just tuning in, you know, just word of mouth, or they've just seen, this the stream, the channel's gone live. It's just popped up in in the content list on YouTube, so they've just clicked on it. Before you know it, they've subscribed, and like I said, they come back week in, week out. But like I say, something else I've introduced this season, I've turned comments on, and I've had a good banter with quite a few different fans from the opposition team, which has been pretty good. Um, we've also had, what was I going to say? It's gone. I'll come back to me in a minute. But like I say, it's like we've had a couple of times where the stream's gone a bit funny, and then they message in chat saying, "Oh, sound's gone off," or your stream's flickering or buffering and stuff, which is good for me because I don't get to see what's going on. All I'm doing is broadcasting. Obviously, there's certain things out of my control. Obviously, I'm just using a SIM card for data and stuff. I'm not hardwired in with a network cable to get a great quality, stream and stuff. I think we're quite a few years away from having a proper setup at Astley, but you do your best you can, and whatever content I can pull out of it, I put on YouTube channel. But like I say, people love it. It's they keep coming back week out, week in, week out, and like I say, they're doing it. You're doing memories. People can come back and say, "Oh, I remember that goal he scored, a couple of weeks ago. Absolute fantastic goal." So yes, I honestly I did not realise how big this is going to get. And from it, I've spawned off. I've do a few podcasts. I've done a few interviews with people. Like I say, I've got my own YouTube channel, Cameraman Dave. And like I say, it's you know, I just think it's fantastic. Really is. And you think, where else can you go in 2026? What is the next leap? What we're going to be actually doing. To be honest with you, because I honestly I don't know. I, I'm sure that I'll have ideas. There are always ideas pinging in my head about, oh, we could try this, we could try that. Some fail, some don't. But no, it's been a hell of a journey. and a journey which has been educational as well. I would say it's definitely a hobby. I've been filming for many years, but to actually put my content out on YouTube and for other people to view that content, and to share it, it's yeah, unbelievable. And I'm not trying to be boasting or crowing or anything like that, but nobody else does what I do in the West Lancs. I've tried to encourage people to do what I do, you know, but nobody else does it. It's a shame really, because I think if other teams did it, I think the West Lancs would get a lot more notice. Um, I mean, obviously the future of Astley and Buttshaw. Obviously, we have a plan that we don't want to be in the West Lancs for 100 years. Obviously, we want to move up. Northwest Counties was the next one we're going to be knocking on the door. Obviously, live stream restrictions slightly change when you go into Northwest Lancs because of the TV 3 o'clock Saturday um, rules and stuff. But you can still film, you can still record, you still can upload clips and stuff after the game and stuff. But yeah, who be interesting to see where we are in if that same question was asked for 2020 in December 2026, to see just where this YouTube channel is at. Have we gone past 2,000 subscribers? Have we gone into a different avenue when it comes to content and stuff? Who knows? But cracking question. Hope I've not bored you too much. We've got a few viewers on at the moment, so if you've got any questions, please drop them in the chat. Still waiting for a comment at the moment. But like I say, it's good to have had these 3 questions thrown at me. And like I say, I've looked at the questions. I've not rehearsed the answers. It's just as and now, and it's just my own spin on it. So I think we're coming up for 30 minutes. So I've run out of questions. I don't think there's anything else. So based on that, I think I'm just going to wrap up this live stream. I just want to wish everybody a good Christmas, Happy New Year. That's from me and everybody at the club, Aston Buttshaw United. And have a good time, have a good break, and we'll see you again in 2026 when who knows what will happen, but we'll be there to cover it. So thank you. Until next time.